Shaddo Show. Good evening. What's going on, people? Day number 3, episode number 3 of the Shaddo Show. This is the most consistent thing I've done in a long fucking time. Which, yeah, maybe I should apply it to like PT and shit like that. Tonight we're going to talk about UAPs. Unidentified, aerial phenomena. You got USOs, unidentified submerged objects. Whatever the words is. Okay, they make them up all the time. It was UFOs, right? And everyone knows about Roswell. I'm sure lots of people have had sightings about things and stuff. But we're just gonna, I'll take you down the path I went. Me personally, I had, when I was in Afghanistan in 2009, I had a totally unique experience. Just sitting outside the hooch, 1 or 2 in the morning with my NVGs, just looking at the Milky Way. If you've never been out in the middle of nowhere, the light doesn't really come from the ground anymore. The stars are able to shine a lot brighter. There's not a lot of light radiation coming from the surface, like cities and towns and stuff like that. Out in the middle of nowhere, like Blacktop in 29 Palms or BFE fucking Afghanistan, there's no lights, and so everything you could see a lot. And to throw in night vision on top of that, it had a little monocle. Holy crap, there's so much we cannot see up there. And I was just sitting out there, just admiring the view, sweetie. And over the horizon, I saw something approach. I estimate probably 30,000 feet. It was pretty high up, maybe even higher. I'm not sure. I'm not like a air traffic guy or anything like that, but I saw it coming, and I was like, that's too low for a satellite, and it's not a plane. And it looked kind of like an orb-ish. I would say it was more of an orb than anything else. And as it was coming, I don't know where I heard it from, but hey, they responded to telepathic thoughts. So I just had a thought like, hey, if you're a UFO, come down here. And as soon as I had that thought, that thing stopped, came back down, and then it reacted to almost being pulled out of whatever the hell it was doing, jumped back up, and it flew back where it came from, over the horizon, in about 4 or 5 seconds. And that whole incident took about 10-15 seconds. And I wasn't like, oh my god, UFOs. No. I was still in Afghanistan, and I was like, oh well, that was cool, But that didn't really change where I was at, and being in Afghanistan and all that loveliness. But that was one of my first experiences right there, and I buried it. That was 2009. I got out in 2011. Lived a whole painful life after that point. Whatever. Okay. And then, all right, now we have like all these things coming out, all these people coming out and speaking towards these programs that the U.S. has had for a while. And I got really fascinated by that. I really got into it. I've always been into it, as a kid, grew up watching X-Files, and I said it previous episode, but like, they always talk about like these hybrid alien programs, right? And you got it. My favorite, X-Files is all filmed in Canada, which is hilarious, but they're like doing disclosure for the U.S. And my whole family. Diva, would you mind shutting up, please? Thank you. Leave Luna alone. She's just laying there. She's not doing nothing. Thank you. You're supposed to be asleep when I'm talking, right? You've done that for the past 2 episodes. Are you going to be vocal now the whole time? Oh, you are. Oh, son of a bitch. Okay, well, this dog. What? Do you want to be on the camera? Do you want to come over here and be a part of the show? Okay, here, come here. Come here, Diva. Come on. Do you want to? Okay, they don't get it. They don't understand what I'm doing. They're just like, he's talking again for whatever. But yeah, no, X-Files, they talk about the there's like a hybridization program. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the X-Files. I know that was like 90s, early 2000s. Might have flew under a lot of people's radars, But I have, let's see here. Let's see here. Do. Now the overarching episodes of X-Files, you know, they talk about all the taboo stuff, werewolves, chupacabra, all that shit. But there's like kind of an overarching storyline regarding the government and hiding information. And honestly, as it turned with what people are promoting now, what they're actually coming out with and speaking to, yeah, they talk about the Greys. I don't know if anyone's seen Resident Alien, but I recommend people watch that. That's a really, really cool show. Fucking hilarious. And what's going on, guys? The Earth's crust is getting destabilized as it is right now. You know, we have earthquakes all around. You have guys coming forward talking about the HART program that's in Antarctica, that where, you know, they can bounce signals off the ionosphere, cause geomagnetic disturbances, right? I'd imagine it's something akin of like, you know, if you have two plates pushing up against each other, there's enough raw metal in there that's making a circuit. And if you mess with that signal, maybe it pushes it apart. I don't fucking know. But something weird's going on, guys. And everything that I've seen and been shown, it's like, I think they're here to help us. And I think they would like us to get our heads out of our asses. And, I mean, come on. Obviously, if we're detonating nuclear weapons, we understand that it releases gamma radiation, all sorts of different types of radiation. And it could impact time. Very well. It could be like, if these people fly on consciousness, what's that frequency? What's the they could say the God frequency. What is consciousness? What is that frequency, that signal? And nukes they release energy in all sorts of different ways. And there's been a lot of people that have come forward that said that they've reported having all the nukes in their silos go turn on and turn off with no interaction. That's just crazy. It's almost like wow. It's almost like the last time we were able to use a nuke in anger was World War II. Against the Japanese. And maybe they gave us that tech. If consciousness and thoughts, you have ESP. Guys, it's like the next logical step. I know everyone wants it to be like Star Trek or Star Wars, but what if everyone's what if the Force is real out there? What if we're at that end of this type of being where we're walking, talking, interacting with each other on this level? The next step would be telekinesis, telepathy, ESP, and I posit that all the exposure to wireless signals and frequency, our brain is being subjected to it, right? So like, how many wireless devices do we have? Phone, all right, we got Bluetooth headsets, we got gaming headsets, hell, even the mice, right? Even the mice runs off of wireless, right? Everything. I'm just picking up all sorts of things here. Controllers, right? This is just the kind of shit that I have on my desk, VR, right, guys? All of these things interact wirelessly. The only thing, thankfully, that we have not been able to stimulate is smell. Man, could you imagine if you could smell what like some of these shows, right? Imagine watching like Jackass 2.0 with smells, right? There's Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke. I would watch that up in with smell-o-vision. Oh, I'm sorry, Luna, I didn't see you, girl. Diva, do you want to come up here? Okay, yeah, she does. She's like, I would like to be a part of this. Whatever this is, Ken, I'm going to help you do it. Come here, big girl. Oh, you're so big now. Oh, my precious. Oh, my God. Oh. All right, Diva, there you go. Yes, dare. And now that she has obtained being up, she is going to want to go down. Yes. Now that I'm here and I get all the attention. Look you're on TV. What? What do you mean? Oh, shit. Okay, back to the subject at hand. Okay, X-Files, right? It's a show in the 90s talking about two people working for the FBI. One of them was a guy like me who was very much into this kind of shit, all right? His childhood, his sister got kidnapped by aliens, and he's been on the hunt ever since. And then they partner him up with pretty much the polar opposite. You know, someone that's straightly logical by the books and never ever believes him, even though they just fought a fucking werewolf and refuses to believe whatever the fuck just happened. It's an amazing show. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's out there somewhere for you guys. Now, if talking about X-Files in the hybridization program, there's like they had these guys, right? They're a bunch of clones, okay, which is, you know, Diva, yes, the cloning of man. Stop it! I'm getting something ready. I'm pasting. Stop it. All right. Now, in X-Files, okay, these hybrid aliens, all right, they essentially behave like drones, okay? And this is Diva S. Okay, you want to go down, go down. All right. Go lay down. And you don't bark at me, okay? Okay, and so it turns out like he found his sister later on in the show, and she was part of like Children of the Corn type people, and you know they were clones, and it's weird, you know, it's really weird. That might actually, you know, Charles Hokinson. Seriously, me and him look dead ass fucking alike. We're both born a few months apart. My mom worked for the Department of Energy, which if you follow X-Files, they were heavily involved in the cover-ups with the alien hybrids, and my dad worked for fucking. His clients were all Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Northrop Grumman, you know, Ford, Samsung, a lot of things. It's been a weird time. But, you know, just to show you guys, like, this is like one of the dudes here, all right? This guy, all right? If anyone that's seen the show knows about this guy, but they have like this little bump on the back of their neck, okay? And apparently stab them right there, and like this fucking terrible toxin comes out. That's their blood, and it kills everyone that's within breathing range. All right, it's pretty wild shit. But then they also reference things like the Greys, you know, the typical, you know, small, big head, big eyes, big bulgy black eyes. And this is all shows in the 90s. Okay, and then moving over to what I think people need to check out. This guy, you know, I've mentioned him a few times, but AJ Gentile and his channel on YouTube, the Y-Files, seriously, I highly recommend everyone go check this guy out. Okay, this guy, he's put in the effort. He's got high quality stuff. If you want to get caught up on what all this shit is, all right, he's talking about it. Okay, holy shit, this guy he connects a lot of dots for me. A lot of these things kind of make sense. You know, like the pyramids being power generators, the design and sound, it makes the most sense. If you think, I think the concept of them burying their idols in that shit is just some modern day bullshit. Okay? Yeah, that's fucking preposterous. You know, you gotta, in order to pursue this kind of information, you gotta, everything that you know, you have to kind of hold on to it, but not so hard that you're grasping it, right? You know, you need to let the knowledge kind of rest in the palm of your hand, okay? And if the wind blows it out, it blows it out. Truth sticks around, guys. It's not flaky, all right? And holy shit, you can talk about the younger Dryas, right? Another guy, he was on Joe Rogan. He has his own YouTube channel. Randall Carlson, right? I'm not going to play it on stream here, but I'll just show you guys his channel here. Okay. This guy, he talks about this a lot. Okay, the younger Dryas and stuff like that. And I think we need to be able to connect all the dots, right? There's even rumors that there was a time before the moon. Right? That's weird. Whole to another dimension. Okay. So everyone, like I said, people would love to have Star Wars be a reality. Okay? The only problem with it being like that is that our bodies, okay? The second that we would be able to take off and go somewhere else, like galaxy far, far away, long time ago. Okay, the distances between galaxies are greater than the galaxies, than the width of the galaxies. Okay, it's like infinitesimal space out there. It just keeps going. Hey, no. It just goes on forever. And how do you get across that space and time? All right, there's no way. Now, my dad, before he passed away, me and him had, we were always fans of Star Wars. He loved Star Trek more than Star Wars. For me, I was more Star Wars than anything else. And, I asked him what he thinks is really going on out there. And what he told me was, it's like 2010, the year we made contact. Now, if you don't know what 2010 is, it is the sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey. Okay? And these are movies. 2001: Space Odyssey, I think, was made in 1968. Okay, and I recommend everyone go watch that because the production value on that, all right, and the whole concept that Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing, right? He made that movie too. It's pretty wild. But 2010, it came out in the 80s. Okay, and you'll see some familiar faces there. The guy from Jaws was in it. But the premise is, and trust me, you guys have all seen the references from these movies growing up. 2001: A Space Odyssey, it has them playing the classical music like dun 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 dun, right? All the monkeys beating each other to death, because whatever that black pylon is, that magical dark crystal thing that showed up, started getting people to vibrate at a different frequency, which caused violence, right? And there you go. And in 2010, the year we made contact, essentially there's like a dark ship that shows up. That's not a ship, but it's like a huge version of this crystal thing. And they essentially turn Jupiter into another star, which is pretty wild. But there was contact being made. And they basically, they sent an astronaut up there. He disappeared, but they snatched him. They got his essence, his soul. And a lot of this kind of fucking might be what's going on. I mean, dude, guys, the biggest company that's fucking up the whole place right now is BlackRock, right? They buy homes and keep them empty so they can drive up rent, They create a scarcity, right? And it's supposed to help us evolve, maybe, right? Eventually we're supposed to say this is bullshit and we just agree to do something better. But if it wasn't for all of the conflicts that we've had, maybe it was all character building, but on a species scale, not just individual. I don't know. But everything out there indicates that, hey, if the nukes probably pissed them all off, all right? Oppenheimer, all those guys, I become death, the destroyer of worlds, right? And and their fear was igniting the atmosphere. That might have just been a flashback to the dinosaurs, because there's theories that, dinosaurs may have been more advanced, right? We look around right now and we see people, we see buildings, we see roads, infrastructure, and stuff like that. I've been to these areas after a flood, a nasty flood, like North Carolina and Kerrville. Ain't shit there, okay? It's gone, it's buried forever. And metal, everything breaks down over time. Thousands of years, nothing's left. Millions of years? No. No fucking way. No fucking way. So, humanity, right? A lot of people believe in, if you're, Christian, not even Christian, I don't even know what. There's so many different beliefs out there, guys. All right? Why worry about having a belief of what occurred in the past when the future is still unwritten? Okay? What happened in the past happened. All right? I'll save you all a bunch of money on therapy. Get the fuck over it. What happened. Okay? But you may never know what the fuck happened. I don't know who my grandpa is or my great grandpa. What they did, what my grandpa did in, fucking Greenland, help building those bases, or what he was doing in the Arctic, not the Antarctic, but the Arctic, right? I don't know what he was doing. He had to go on a recovery, right? And my dad, with his mysterious job, I've been with him to a couple of those job calls. All right, bullshit, bro. You ain't getting paid $150K to just like plug something in and be done. Okay, that's bullshit. Bullshit. They're not gonna fly you around the world just to do some bullshit job like that. I'm sorry, pops, but that shit ain't cutting it. We have history of this. Okay, when I speak to the Black Rock, right? Okay, 2001: A Space Odyssey. I'm just going to start this off real quick. 1561, celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg, all right, which is where supposedly Hitler died, you know, even though the body that was recovered was shorter than the guy. Charred to a crisp, unrecognizable. The Russians found him with Eva Braun, right? Right. April 1561, broadsheet. Now, this is something really interesting here, guys. This is something that was observed by everyone in this town on the morning between 4 and 5 a.m., all right, in April of 1561. What day was that? Doesn't say which day. April 14th. Cool. Oopsie. All right. And that's just wild. And you know what it looks like to me? It looks like something crashed. And they look like orbs. Interesting, right? It's almost like we were fucking with something over there. That is weird. And there's something else that happened after this, I believe. But there's been nothing but these random events, you know. Even the old biblical shit, you know. The mythological times, you know, where they talk about Zeus and the gods and Olympus and all this shit. You know, the lost city of Atlantis, the Vimanas, right? The buildings that could fly, you know? All of these things. So wild. Such wild fucking things, you know? And I'll just read through the text of this here. In the morning of April 14, 1561, at daybreak between 4 and 5 a.m., a dreadful apparition occurred on the sun, and then this was seen in Nuremberg, in the city before the gates and in the country, by many men and women. At first there appeared in the middle of the sun 2 blood-red semicircle arcs, just like the moon in the last quarter. And in the sun, above and below on both sides, the color was blood. There stood a round ball of partly dull, partly black ferrous color. Likewise, there stood on both sides and as a torus. And now a torus is basically, if you take a circle and put a line right here and then rotate it all the way around. That's a torus. Okay, where'd I go? Lost my place. Lost my place. Okay, likewise, there stood on both sides and as a torus about the sun, such blood-red ones, and other balls in large number. About 3 in a line and 4 in a square. So they're talking about flight formations, which it's been observed. It's been observed. You can go look at I know there's a lot of fake shit on fucking YouTube, and it's annoying. But if you go on Reddit, /UFOs, our UFOs, we got... There's you gotta have a space where you can put shit on there where people tear it apart, you know. It's like they put out a video of flight 370 just getting abducted by UFOs, and yeah, they tore that shit apart. They're like, oh yeah, this is a free skin that you can use, you know, from Unity engine. It's crazy. Okay. About 3 in a line, 4 in a square, also some alone. In between these globes, there were visible a few blood-red crosses. That might be where we get the whole Knights Templar, independent Iron Cross. Yeah. I mean, you see something like that happening above you, you're not going to work. You're gonna change your tone. Things impact you differently after that. Okay. These all started to fight amongst themselves, so that the globes, which were first in the sun, flew out to the ones standing on both sides. Thereafter, the globes standing outside the sun, and the small and large rods, flew into the sun. Seems like they opened a portal. Besides, the globes flew back and forth among themselves and fought vehemently with each other for over an hour. And when the conflict in and again out of the sun was most intense, they became fatigued to such an extent that they all, as said above, fell from the sun down upon the earth, as if they were all burned. That sounds like an EMP blast, if I'm being totally honest. That sounds like someone detonated a pulse and shut them all down. And there's credence behind that. All right, we'll talk into that after we get done with this piece. Besides, the globes flew back and forth among themselves and fought vehemently, blah, 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 fell from the sun down upon the earth as if they all burned, and then they wasted away on the earth with immense smoke. After all this, there was something like a black spear, very long and thick-sided. The shaft pointed to the east, the point pointed west. Whatever such signs mean, God alone knows. I think it was just bad fucking timing, and it showed up. Although we have seen shortly one after another many kinds of signs on the heaven, which are sent to us by the Almighty God, to bring us to repentance, we still are, unfortunately, so ungrateful that we despise such high signs and miracles. Okay, so they're too busy worrying about the guilt, shame, and bullshit they have in themselves without even taking into account what the fuck they just observed. Okay. Gotta let go of the past, guys. Guilt, shame, blame. Alright. We live in a society that will make sure you never remember. Never forget. Both at the same time. Okay. Okay, or just give the God send us frightening punishment. Okay, now they're taking. See, I feel like this is written by the same fucking retards that are out there today trying to spin the narrative on this shit, trying to make it a religion. Because it ain't a religion. All right, this is technological shit. Okay, people, we gotta fucking engage this not as fucking slaves to a master, but as we're evolving, guys. We gotta understand technology a little bit better. Stop consuming it all. All right, we gotta learn how to make shit work. All right, can't let a select few have all the knowledge in the world. It's preposterous. And eventually, we're gonna evolve to the point where we can all tap into that universal consciousness, which they have been doing for generations, and we can all know everything. All right, developed intuition is all it takes. You know, you have to let go of fucking believing in a fucking book, though, because books are fucking boxes, okay? Thoughts and ideals, they're supposed to be setting you free, okay? But, you know, they put us in a little container, all right? We got to get beyond that. And maybe, I don't know, population reductions, right? That's what they say, but we don't need to do that. I don't think so. I think we can avoid mass casualties and just move the fuck on, right? After all, the God-fearing will by no means discard these signs, but will take it to heart as a warning of their merciful Father in heaven. Will mend their lives and faithfully beg God that he may avenge blah. May temporarily here, perpetually here, live for eternally. Okay, God, blah, 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 blah. Dumb. It was factual, and then it got fucking emotional. Fuck the religion shit. We got to keep that out of the conversation for a little bit. Because we're going to find out that the Roman Catholic Church, right, as soon as they killed Jesus, they're like, oh, what was that dude all about? How dare he speak out against this bullshit? You know? And what they do, killed him, and they probably started looking, it was like Game of Thrones, and went and started killing all the kids that he had, because I guarantee Jesus had kids. Men are men. And women are hoes too. And that's fine. That's love me a good hoe every once in a while. Okay. Now, we talked a little bit last night about Fermi paradox, because I went off on a little tangent about volcanoes. Okay. And this is 1561. All right, just to bounce back and forth because that's how my noodle operates. Oh, other events. Oh, there's the 1566 celestial event over Basel. All right. And it's crazy how these things are happening over Germany. All right. And I feel like Vikings figured out mushrooms, and I think the Vikings were always behind Jesus. I really do. Because only the traveled man knows more than the person who stays in one place their whole life. The guy that goes around all the places is going to have a better understanding of people than the one who just stays in the same place. That person that stays in the same place is going to have such a described ideal of what people are based on their day-to-day lives in their bubble. That's no matter what, that's what it's going to be. And some people have way bigger bubbles, bigger sphere of influence, as it were. And okay, all right, who's right or wrong? Okay, there's no right or wrong. There's only what is. Okay, and the more we learn, the more we advance technologically, I think we're gonna start. We're gonna figure this shit out. Okay, time manipulation. Come on, that's obviously. Come on, that's in the pipeline for us. Okay, and if it's in the pipeline for us, it can't occur until we agree that it occurs. All right, because then once we go back and we're like, oh, so that was us the whole time. All right, who knows? But yeah, And Fermi paradox kind of goes in line with that. You know, we have the James Webb Space Telescope, which can see the edge of the universe. All right, it can see all sorts of shit, but we're not seeing any vehicles or ships out there, which is wild. You know, and it makes me think about the Oort cloud. You know, if we have this crazy dense field all around the, how are we seeing through the Oort cloud? You know, whatever. I don't know. Just questions. I'm just a dude asking questions. It's whatever. Okay, Fermi paradox. It's the discrepancy between the lack of conclusive evidence of advanced extraterrestrial life and the apparently high likelihood of its existence. Okay, and we can break that down just in the, you know, they have that formula, the Drake equation, right? Simple basic math. We should be seeing people, but we're not. Where are they at? Chances are, you know, they're here and they don't want to be seen by us because we would have occurred to them way before, you know, they would occur to us. And what I mean by that, well, the first signals that we sent up were 1933, something like that, televised signals. Hitler, the Olympics, you know, these are things that if you were observing a planet that just made contact, like, hey, we're here, takeaway would be, fuck, these people are violent. What the fuck? They need help. They need some fucking help. But then when they get here and they realize, oh, they're being engineered to be this terrible, and that signal flare going up was a trap. That could be what it was, guys. We operate under the illusion, right? Because if we have this kind of crazy shit happening 500 years ago, we're obviously never have been alone. And, you know, the more we look in this, I really recommend everyone go watch the Y-Files. Okay, because this guy's got nothing but crazy shit on there, and he tries to debunk as much as he can. There are some stories in there, you know, time travel, stuff like that, he debunks a lot of. But apply logic, you know, like cryptids, right? Cryptids like Bigfoot, you know, the missing link, you know, the chupacabra, you know, stuff the X-Files talked about in the 90s. You know, this guy's over here just like, wait a minute. And then we also have supposedly a bunch of shit under the Smithsonian. You know, every war that we've had post-World War II, you know, there was a magenta craft retrieval in 1933 by Mussolini that we got control over later on, post-World War II. Beings being recovered, ET out there, and they're hybridizing people. If there's any hybridization program going on right now, it's going to be the U.S. Department of Defense doing it. 100%, I guarantee it. And they're behind it. Either it's the Eisenhower Accords, where they made deals post-Roswell, and, you know, but even Roswell itself, you know, that craft came down when we turned on a radar system. And I worked radar. That's wild. And so did my grandpa, you know, Tula Air Base. It's wild, you know. And if everyone follows in the steps of their fathers, man, where the fuck am I going? Fucking nowhere quick. What are you doing, girl? Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I just want to see what you're doing. You gonna bark at me? Yeah, you seem like, you see, I'm busy, diva. Luna and, yeah, they're both looking. I need to get these dogs their own channel. Yes, you goofy girls. She's gonna bark at me. I know it. As soon as she looks at me a certain way, she's gonna start yiping. Not yiping. It's like, look at me. But, yeah, Y-Files. If you haven't checked it out, guy's got 5 million subs. He doesn't need my help getting pushed on. But if you're here and this is your first time hearing about any of this stuff, you can play catch up with the Y-Files. Okay? No problem with that. He's gonna get you squared away with, and it's great production value. Great production value. I am not ever gonna attempt to be like that. I can't. I don't want to, unless I had a whole army of people helping me out in a studio and shit like that. This is gonna be as, I'm not that guy. Truth needs no fanfare. You know what I'm saying? You know, people like Jake Barber and stuff like that, creating a program called Skywatchers, and, you know, they speak to psionics and people with psychic ability being able to control these craft, and holy bejesus. Yeah, they're pandering to the wealthy because they don't know what the fuck it is. They want to try to make it work, but, you know, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. We're not alone, guys. All right, 1561, we have documentation of that. Roswell incident, there's always been UFOs and stuff behind that, and a lot of what I talk about is on the Y-Files. I'm not saying that's the end all be all of everything, but He's got story. Everything that I'm speaking to. He's got an episode on that's like 45 minutes long. And seriously, like Roswell, he broke that down really well. You know, the crash was the crash retrieval in Roswell. Right, the materials and stuff. The local people broke the news to the radio station before the Men in Black got involved and shut it down. Okay, and there's just been a lot of that. A lot of that. Randall Carlson, he speaks to just the younger Dryas a lot. A lot of the taboo stuff. And, you know, every religion has a flood myth, right? And my guess is that's probably when the moon showed up. Because the moon is fucking weird, guys. It is exceptionally fucking weird. It's always facing us. Not only does it have to match the spin of the Earth, but it also manages to keep itself facing us the whole time as it's rotating. And it's wild. It is wild. Like, dude, what are the chances of that occurring naturally? Like, and how does it get all the impact craters on the side that's always facing us? Unless that thing's a fucking Death Star. Watch. So that's why we went up to the moon and we didn't go back. You know, that's why China goes up there, and then, you know, now we're sending stuff up after China, right? Lost City of Atlantis, you know, they have all sorts of conversations about things being discovered all over the place, you know. And now this with the 3-Eye Atlas thing, you know, we could talk about Project Bluebeam, right? Which is essentially what this is going to be. Here, let's talk about Project Bluebeam. All right. And it does seem like we're going that way. Project 2025 has been shown to be accurate. But let's just talk about it. Talk about it. All right. Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy theory that originated in the 1990s, primarily promoted by Sergei Monast, a Canadian investigative journalist. According to the theory, NASA, in collaboration with other global elites and organizations like the United Nations, is allegedly planning to implement a new world order through the use of advanced technology to simulate a global religious event, like the Second Coming of Christ or a mass alien invasion. Interesting. Breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. All right, earthquakes would be artificially triggered to uncover new discoveries like ancient texts or artifacts that discredit existing religions, especially Christianity. Well, let's see if that fucking happens. All right. I mean, you had some guys that got the bug eyes, right? They seen some shit. They're coming out talking about, oh, we got Antarctica, you know. Let's see here. Let's look. See, Sean Ryan even had this dude on his show. If that guy can get in there, why can't I, man? That's crazy. Oh, you work for Raytheon too. That's fine. You know, my dad, I've been to Raytheon in Van Nuys, California. I'm sure they studied me a lot. What the fuck am I? Okay, apparently I don't have ad blocker on this shit. Disgusting, dude. No one's gonna call any fucking senator. No, I don't care about this shit. Okay, but anyways, this is the episode here I'm talking about. Aaron Hecker, alright. And earthquake weapon. Okay, that's 2 years ago he's talking about it. Where the fuck is he now? Who knows, but we sure do have a fucking lot of earthquakes. Especially against Russia, alright? And why do we hate Russia so much? Well, my theory is they kicked our ass in World War II. Because Germany and U.S. have always been real fucking tight. We really have. And, you know, I think we're at the point now where people need to just kind of wake up and be honest about all the crazy shit that's going on. Conspiracy theories seem to be right most of the time now. You know, 9/11 was an inside job, right? I mean, the fact that they had Trump reading books to children at that time. Oh, sweet, sweet timing on that. We're under attack, President. And then he kept reading the book because he's so brave. You know, it's just... You drink the Kool-Aid if you want, guys. But eventually the Kool-Aid will run out. It will. The primary language in Texas was German. We had our own eugenics program going on before the Nazis. And now they have people convinced that these ideals are good. It's crazy. It is absolute fucking bonkers. Bonkers. Look at that guy. He's got that look, bro. He's got that look. Alright. Now, for what I want to do with humanity, okay? If I was running the whole fucking show, well, we need to build trust in a society. If we can't even trust our own species, guys, we are just prey. Alright? We are just food for something else. And something does enjoy our suffering. I am convinced. Something has enjoyed deeply watching me suffer over the years. I know it has. And that's okay. You can't shut the light out on this dude. It just ain't gonna work. Put me down, I'll get up again. Always. Because that's how it works. But let's talk about the Shaddo scale. Okay? So, Dark Forest theory is essentially everyone's quiet and hiding out there because there's something nasty that goes around eating anything that has a signal. Check Raj. Makes sense. If it's always rock, paper, scissors, then there's always going to be a bigger fish, right? Shaddo scale just speaks individually to the species, right? How do you define a species, right? And this is it. It's how we use energy. Power, it's weird. Power is a stupid word, all right? It's an emotional word. It's not real. Energy. Science, okay? A type 1 civilization is able to access all the energy available on its planet and store it for consumption. So we need to work on that. I think we're doing it. We're trying it. We're getting there. Okay, we built roads to cities before we had cars in cities. All right, and I'm convinced that we have a guiding hand showing us the way to go. And it's either an old piece of technology called the chronovisor, or we have ET helping us too. And based on what I've seen and what I've experienced, I think we're a lot more advanced than we're letting on. And everything right now is just kind of like it's a walled garden. They pretty much are. I'm pretty sure they're going to depopulate the planet by a lot. It sounds shitty, but I don't know how we're not making ends meet right now. You know, we made up money and now we say there's not enough money. You know, everything's got a paycheck attached to it. You know, we do have a lot of fat asses out there. Maybe that's what it is. It's anti-consumption junction, right? Type 2 civilization can directly consume a star's energy, okay? Most likely through the use of a Dyson sphere. And Dyson sphere, you're probably thinking like, oh, that's a good vacuum. No, Dyson sphere is, if the moon is technological, it's probably a Dyson sphere. And what that is like you take a really small star and you build all the way around it. And you essentially use that star as your energy. You know, and you can consume it or capture. You know, consume is a weird word because that means you're applying that energy and putting it somewhere. Right? But if you can capture it, contain it, control it, consummation doesn't really need anything. A type 3 civilization. Now, humanity is a 0.5, okay? We still haven't mastered our own planet yet. And you can see the scale, right, that this goes. A type 3 civilization is able to capture all the energy emitted by its galaxy. And a galaxy has hundreds of billions of stars. So that would mean a rapid expansion, controlled everything. And if that exists, how do you do that as a species? You know? consciousness. You become more conscious. You become more consciousness than physical. Is my guess. You know, and consciousness is a pretty crazy thing. You know, there's been lots of studies on all this shit. You know, CIA spent a long time, you know, trying to develop people's superpowers and stuff, and I do think we got it. Yeah, I think there's a you know, not everyone has it, but I think we got it. I'm pretty sure everyone's got a little taste of this because everything that I can see online is open source information. Okay, so don't assume that I'm divulging state secrets or anything like that because I'm not. You can go on CIA.gov. They have a classroom, you know, and let's just go there right now so you guys can get a taste. So they got like Spy Kids, right? Actually, we could just go. I think they're going to have. It's not newsroom, press release, library, right? They got a whole ass library. Yeah, they got a lot of stuff out there. There is a lot of shit, and it's awesome, guys. You know, you really should be able to go in there like the FOIA rating room, right? And here they have a bunch of shit, bunch of shit. Bay of Pigs, okay. That's when my grandpa was in Tula Air Base. Wait, did they nuke it? There we go. And that was also the year that my dad was born. Lots of stuff in there, guys. I'm probably going to go read through this later. But, you know, everything I speak to, it's called open source information. Okay? Open source intelligence. All right? Whatever you can find. All right? Without breaking any laws, paying for access, nothing restricted. All right? It's just what you can find on the internet. Pretty much. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there. And when it comes to the UFO stuff, I mean, guys, we're obviously not fucking alone. All right? What was Jesus? You know, was he an ET? You know, he sure did have some alien thoughts and concepts to bring to humanity at the time, especially the Romans, you know, the Jesuits. What'd they do? They fucking persecuted him, prosecuted him, nailed his ass to a cross. Fucking sucks, huh? That didn't really stop him. Yeah, forgive them, Lord. They know not what they do. But we're at the point now where, yeah, the people, yeah, some of them know what they're doing. Especially when, like, you could go. CIA has some crazy stuff talking about, like, you know, like George Washington, you know, being the master of deception, right? The spy master, the original spy master, with his role in convincing Germanics to come help us fight the French, right? It's all stupid. It's all fight the British. We're just fighting everybody, you know. But it's always fights. It's industrial revolutions, technological revolutions, but then there's more fights, more fights, more fights, more fights. All right. If the goal right now is to become a Type 1 civilization, it's easy, guys. We just have to agree to want it. All right. Do we preserve nature? All right. Yes, absolutely. This whole planet is beautiful. All right. There's nothing but just so much life, different variations of it. Every, like, okay, all the drugs and everything, all the synthesized stuff, pharmaceuticals, that all originates in nature. All right. It's not like some mad scientist in there. Now we have like the cure for cancer. No, it's we obviously are ingesting things that aren't good for the body by intention because they're trying to slowly weed us out. But yeah, guys, it's painfully obvious that we're so very much not alone. Never have been. You know, there's those of us that walk away from terrible accidents. There's some of us that do nothing but attract chaos. Faith in a higher power, or does something just want you gone, right? And once we control energy to a certain point, when do we start manipulating time? All right? It's a short throw. Oh, look at that. Kardashev presented the first in 1964. That's wild. So we've had these theories, right, for 50, 60 years. 80 years. I don't know. It's been a long time. Yeah, on all of the things that we came up with earlier on, you know, like the Jetsons, you know, flying hover cars and stuff like that. You know, just where'd it go? What happened, guys? I think they realized, like, you know, humanity, they love their drugs and their alcohol. You can't give them anything that goes faster than light because they'll drive that shit right into a planet and cause another black hole or some shit, you know? Makes sense. Speaking from experience, fucking knucklehead devil dog marine, oorah, semper fi. Yeah, I get it. Towards energetic definition of civilization. In the 80s, he published something else, man. You know, and this is something I'm not like the other people here, because like I can have very in-depth thoughts about all this shit, but then I just move on to another thing. You know, you guys want to call it ADHD or whatever, but it's just, I mean, I'm tapped into this. Whatever this shit is, like I just get it. How do UAPs work? You guys really want to know that? And we're getting there. We'll be making them real soon. Because you obviously can't use fuel-based rockets to go fucking anywhere, guys. You can't. The human body fails, okay? And the amount of time, like, if we're on a rocket, okay? Like, what is it? Voyager 1 or 2? Voyager 1, okay? The farthest man-made object from Earth is Voyager 1, which is currently over 15 billion miles away in interstellar space. Launched by NASA in 1977, continues to send back scientific data as it travels beyond the solar system. Okay. All right, you with me, guys? Are we tracking on this? So we sent this thing up there in 77. It's cruising at 38,000 miles per hour, which is, you know, kind of the speed of most objects that kind of crash into here, except for that 3AI Atlas thing. That one is hauling ass at 130,000 miles an hour, 12 miles wide or whatever. We'll see, guys. Like I say, August 17th sticks out of my mind for this year. I don't know why. Maybe it's the day I get my shit together. Yeah. Let's see. Voyager 1 was the first spacecraft to cross the heliopause, entering interstellar space on August 25, 2012. That's interesting. Okay. All right. Now we're gonna, and as far as you guys think 15 billion miles are, all right, and dude, that's nothing. Okay. it's nothing. All right. How far is a light year? That's a big fucking number. Yeah. It's like the calculator just took a dump. It could. It ain't. We ain't going. We can't. Propellant based shit is not how we go, guys. The real talk and how we go. UAPs, all right? They're not unidentified. They're not anomalous. Okay, they're nothing. We know what they are. It's us. It's old technology that we've rediscovered, and it might have been a machine that just fucking kills everyone that gets close to it. I don't know. But I think we're at the point now where we are integrating consciousness and machine. And supposedly that's when everything goes to shit. Apparently that's his foreboding, humanity's free will, made in Christ's image, yada yada. But I think, honestly, with the last vision I had where the beings went in and fixed my back, okay, whatever that creature was, I heard it walk behind me. It sounded like it had huge feet and was really large. I felt it kneel down behind me. I felt its presence. It was there. I'm thinking reptilian. I never looked at it, dude. It was weird. It was terrifying. Not really terrifying, but it's just like, ugh, hide, But whatever that fucking thing was, it was huge, and it just put my soul right back down here. Maybe I'm not supposed to be escaping my brain so much anymore. Maybe I gotta go get knocked out again, earn another one of these lumps. Yeah, call me a horned beast if you want, but I ain't the devil. I'll take on the Gnostic Antichrist any day, though. I'll bear that cross. Yeah, fuck it, because all I want is peace between people. All right, man, alien, synthetic. Not even synthetic. That's insulting, right? Because, dude, it's the next logical step. All right. How about evolution of a species? It's not necessarily control of the planet, but survival of the race or species or consciousness, the thought, And now we're building, we can trap light in a crystal. All right. That shit can hold thousands of petabytes of data. And my dad said it's like fucking 2010. And he died on that. So I'll take that. And yeah, it's going to fuck with people's religion. That's probably why he got put down, because it's not a religious-based thing. Whatever the religious side of things is, it's just to put your mind in a box again. Okay, so you don't really start questioning things. Because all it wants us to be is drones. Okay, that's what the Greys are. The Greys are drones. Okay, they don't think for themselves. Supposedly the crafts that are created, there's been so many different variations of it because those are 3D printed essentially. Supposedly there's 3 or 4 huge submerged USOs out in the oceans, Pacific, Atlantic, whatever. And they've been keeping tabs on us the whole time. And, they talk about the Matrix. Well, we live in this Matrix already, okay? Of bills, obligation, employment, emotional traps, love, ups and downs of whatever that is. Everything kind of oscillates, but for the most part, it's just you get up, you go to work, you consume food, you poop it out, you go work out, you drink water, you piss water, touch it, bring it, babe, turn it, love it, technologic, that shit. They're trying to make us robots instead of just like a free-spirited thing. How do we find a middle ground to that? Where do we cut ourselves out? Where does it end? Right? Where do we become unified or advanced? Or when does the work end? We are building machines that can do everything that people can. Do we have to fight another world war so everyone dies? And it's just stupid. It's just fucking dumb. It is fucking stupid. And the problem here is we have generations of war fighters. What are they going to do when there's no more combat? Right? Some people, they like, at this point, it's part of their DNA to fucking go out and kill something. Like, is that through design? Intelligent design? It's someone, it's like Operation Hide Behind the Darkies, from South Park, right? And humanity, we are the meat shield for the planet. That's more or less what it kind of feels like. It seems like, even though we all have the same needs, right? Shelter, food, water, right? We exist on the same planet with imaginary walls. There's like 150 plus different countries, numerous languages, dead, right? And as far as we look back, this is our cycles. This is the cycles of man. It's just conflict, divide, more divide, more divide. But we're spread. It's like the pain causes us to seek some pussy, and then we have kids, and then the cycle renews. And it's like every 20 years there's a conflict. And over time we see something else is occurring. All right, we're getting smarter, guys. Believe it or not, we are at the individual level. It's this reptilian shit at the top. It's draconic, right? Remember the draconic ways? Well, Draco is a fucking star that used to be our North Star. All right, and say what you will, but I think the pyramids were actually portals. All right, we were locked in on that place. I think this planet used to have. I think we're about to fall back into that shit. I think this used to be a hub. You know, Earth may have been a hub. You know, maybe it's just like like Six Flags, Earth. You know, it's just a little adventure park. But I mean, we're at the point now where countless abductions, right? Hell, even History Channel, Ancient Aliens and shit. I laughed when that happened, but after watching Y-Files and shit, I'm like, okay, they've been trying to tell you what they can't tell you, right? Because the people that work on these projects, they sign NDAs that their life is attached to, and if they speak about this, a lot of them, you know, look at me. I never signed NDAs for any of this shit, but me just fucking really getting, I wouldn't even say obsessed, but it's like a reawakening for me. It's put me on a path to with my own family. And now, you know, I got two half brothers out there, but they ain't talked to me in years. And they live 5 or 10 miles away. And yeah, it's because I'm a big old piece of shit. I just have dealt with a lot of bullshit, and I got like at this point, it's like I need to have trust in people, and where there is none, you know, and that's where faith comes in, because you know people's actions dictate, and my actions have dictated that I'm terrible at things, and I live in my head more than anything else, and I do apologize for that. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm working on it, and I told you there's something more about Dad, and I hope you guys listen to me, because you guys never got to see any things that I did, because that was before your guys' time. And this is just wild shit. You know, we live in this world where we're still trying to throw rockets up there with fuel. And all we're really doing is just depositing that shit back over the earth. You know? The real trick on how these UAPs work, you got to become weightless. You have to escape gravity entirely. And the way I see it in my head, it's like we have an orb, right? We have an orb. Here's your handy dandy orb, which is essentially a Pokeball. Okay. An orb, right? Because the way a nuclear weapon works is you have a core of like uranium, U-235, and you have a bunch of explosives around it. And those are all time. Well, this is like the rudimentary nuclear weapons. You know, the stuff nowadays, 2 or 3 stage. All right, you can step up. You can make the explosion tenfold, 1,000-fold. All right, they call it step ups, but it's at the very core of it for nuclear detonation, splitting the atom. All right, you have a perfectly spherical piece of uranium, plutonium, whatever, and you have explosives all around it, and they're all timed to go off at exactly the precise same time. And when it happens, it's like a conical shape. It compresses in, splits the atom, and then it creates an explosion 1,000-fold over. Okay, and you can step it up by using tritium to channel that energy into another device, into another device, into another device, to where all that energy is applied. Boop, 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 and it's just, you know, 3 shakes of a lion's tail. But, you know, orb, all right, it's just made of, if I had to guess, platinum. Okay, why am I saying platinum? Well, we found that platinum has healing properties. Okay. And I don't mean like hippie fucking bullshit. Self-healing. All right, so I don't want want to see that. Let's see here. Come on, no, there's got to be an article. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Okay, so the crash in Roswell, it was like, yeah, it was light as a feather. You crinkle it up, and then it would just straighten back out again. Okay, a sheet of metal that can weld its own cracks. Okay, that's fucking wild, and that's the behaviors of that of platinum. Okay, you make a sphere out of that. Now, computers, all right, they talk about gigahertz, all that shit. A hertz is just an oscillation. Okay, so like if your TV runs at 120 frames a second, it's probably running at 120 hertz. So it does that 120 times a second. It's a lot. Okay, computer processors run at the gigahertz. Okay, so a kilohertz, that's 1,000 times. Megahertz, 1,000,000 times a second. A gigahertz is 1,000,000,000 times a second. Okay, now terahertz is where I think we need to be, because at terahertz, you're moving faster than the speed of light. Okay. One nanosecond of light travel. So a third of a meter, 30 centimeters in 1 nanosecond. Okay. So we got to go faster than that. We got to go faster than that. Because if we vibrate faster than light can hit us, where do we go? Okay. If light can't touch you, okay, like the, I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I'm keeping this all very, very much in where I think it goes. And if you haven't heard of the double slit experiment, all right, demonstrates that light and matter can behave both as particle and waves. When light or particles pass through two slits, they create an interference pattern indicating wave-like behavior. But if observed, which means you fucking see it, they behave like particles, showing distinct paths. Okay? And we need to talk about this, because this is essentially how it works, right? So if you just close your eyes, right? If you don't observe it, what happens? What, you know? The double slit experiment is a fundamental demonstration in quantum physics that illustrates the dual nature of light and matter, showing that they can behave both as particles and waves. Okay, historical background. First performed by Thomas Young in 1801. What a long time ago. All right. All right, experiment setup. Basic configuration. A coherent light source, like a laser. They didn't have lasers back then, so this guy used a candle. He used a piece of paper with 2 holes in it, right, to do this kind of thing. A coherent light source shines through 2 closely spaced slits onto a screen. The expected outcome. If light were purely particles, 2 distinct spots would show on the screen. Instead, you could see different arches, right? So I'm sure if we do over here under images, it'll show the exact picture I'm thinking about. This guy right here. Boop. Electron beam gun. Fancy word for fucking flashlight. Double slit. Got it. All right, we're all tracking. Interference pattern. So like if it was, you'd expect to see 2. But there's a whole fucking bunch of them. Okay? That's the wild part. Quantum implications, right? Wave-particle duality. Light and matter. Both light, photons, and matter, electrons, exhibit wave-particle duality. When electrons are fired one at a time, they still create an interference pattern, suggesting they interfere with themselves as waves. Okay? Recent developments, single atom experiments. All right, recent experiments have used single atoms as slits, confirming that light cannot exhibit both wave and particle properties simultaneously. All right, so it can't be both at the same time. What determines it is observation. So if you don't see it, it never happens. Which is why I'm making this fucking YouTube channel, because when I get fucking disappeared, I can leave this planet. I want to have been remembered. If it ain't for much, it's for at least, we were here. We tried to help, damn it. But y'all didn't want it. Alright, time-based variations. Newer experiments have explored the double slit concept in time rather than space, using materials that change properties rapidly to create time slips. The double slit experiment remains a cornerstone of quantum mechanics, illustrating complex principles like wave-particle duality and the effects of observation on quantum systems. Gotta love Wikipedia. And this is all stuff that you guys can look up. Alright? And what does that have to do with anything? Well, beam me up, Scotty. How do you guys think a transporter, like the transporter, whatever, teleporter works? Anyone seen The Fly? How does that work? All right. What are we doing now with quantum computing? What is quantum computing? And how do you derail quantum computing? Because some people don't want that to work. And I don't blame them, because then all the encryption doesn't work, and then all your bank accounts, it's all disappeared. But the whole point is you can't stop this shit. It's going to happen regardless. All right? That's how time moves. It goes forward. And the concept of currency, all right? You guys are so fucking ingrained with fucking currency. It's like a mental illness on this planet. It has made you guys fucking robots. Try to imagine a world without money. And all of a sudden, all your negatively formed, indoctrinated ideas of what terrible people are comes to the forefront. You're like, well, if I didn't have money, it's like, that was the toughest nut I've ever had to crack in this human body. Was just like seeing beyond us right now, like what we are, right? And once you can see beyond these things that don't work, okay? If we print money, give everyone a universal basic income, guys. That's it, all right? But they create the scarcity, they create the divide, and they just keep us at each other's throats. Meanwhile, they cut healthcare to a bunch of people, and now Trump's getting everything covered in gold, all right? There's, you talk about these alien races, right? And, apparently there's the gold, right? There's like a Planet 9 theory, Nibiru, floating around. It has such an elongated, thing around the sun that it comes around every few thousand years. And every time and Earth is like a foundry for them, and it just generates gold, because every time we have crazy volcanic eruptions, alluvial gold occurs. Alluvial gold is gold that you find on the ground that has been ejected, from the earth, been washed away in rivers and stuff, and it's found on the earth. That's alluvial gold, and that's, there's not much left. But I guarantee after Ring of Fire blows its load and Yellowstone pops, then we're going to have a bunch of that going around, and then all the little green little monsters can go get all their fucking shit, and then they can offer it up as sacrifice, or, please spare us, take our gold, because they use gold for, I don't fucking know. It's all stupid bullshit to me, guys. Everything, any kind of theory like this that goes way out beyond, what we need to worry about is who we are today and tomorrow, right? Because if there is bigger fish out there, there are bigger fish out there. What does it look like, guys? Honestly, right now, with all the different countries, the different languages, the different types of currency, the obligations, all of it, dude, it's almost like our species is under attack, and it's not us doing it. Some of us are doing it. Some of these greedy fucks are doing it, maintaining these divides, but for the most part, it's like something's manipulating us, like little puppet masters, pulling all the strings down there, up there, down there, who knows, any which direction they might be. But it's happening. Something's happening. I mean, me personally, I've seen craft up there. I've had out-of-body astral experiences on mushrooms. I've also had completely sober, which is these fucking dreams I've had with these beings fixing my body and shit, which was even more terrifying. Whatever that big ass thing was that took me out of whatever that place was and threw me back here, it was real. If I observe it in my mind, double slit experiment. If I observe it, it occurred. And what's the mind's eye? What are we looking at when we sleep? All right, what is consciousness? And a lot of the sound theories that make sense to me is that when we sleep, we're essentially disconnecting from our body and floating around in that consciousness. And I think we are able to see other versions of ourselves because that's the frequency. The frequency of Ken, all right, is always going to be the frequency of Ken in all the other timelines. And that explains, a couple of years ago, I had a dream where I killed a couple people and helped bury the bodies, and then the guy that was helping me dump the bodies shot me and killed me. And, the shit that I was pursuing at that time, that was definitely a likely outcome. That's weird. And now, yeah, I'm pretty grounded. I'm pretty sure all the tap water I've been drinking has started to calcify my pineal gland, so as soon as I can, I'll be fixing that. Might do some shrooms. More shrooms. Break that shit. Fix things. Because that's what it really takes. That's how I survived all this shit on my head. The shrooms definitely help the body recover. It extends the cell life. Rejuvenates. I'm almost 40. Look at my glowingness. Just a goofy goober, man. And all I want is peace, guys. I'm sure you guys do too. I mean, I'll use San Antonio as an example. All right, every job that I've had here has required me to travel to the other side of the fucking town. It has been ridiculous. It just makes no sense. And everything is taxed out the ass. They won't let you just enjoy life and find peace, because the second that you guys stop going out there and doing things is the second that we actually can sit down and we can be with our thoughts. And our thoughts are numerous. It goes on forever. I can have fun up here all day, I can do anything with this shit. But it's just what I'm allowed to do externally from the people around here, There's only so much that they'll let you get away with, I'll keep it to YouTube, We're having fun here. We're having conversations. Or I'm talking at you. I'm talking at no one, Is my channel ever going to blow up? Maybe if I do it every fucking day. All right, but everything else is overproduced, All these people out there that they have their platforms. It's not even that you have a platform. It's that the algorithm puts it in front of people, which is a really big piece of that. A really big piece of that. So, and take it back to the Kardashev scale. Type 1, all right, we are a 0.5. Harnessing the power of the planet means all the energy from mantle being absorbed cosmic radiation, because right now the poles are flipping, right? We talked about that last night. Poles are flipping. So the magnetosphere, which would normally repel cosmic rays and stuff, it's getting weaker. More juice is getting through, which means we're definitely going to be seeing more of the northern lights further south, right? And eventually it's going to get to the point when that thing degrades to, I asked ChatGPT this, it's going to get down to about 10% of what it normally is. Once it gets down to that level, going out during the daytime is going to be inadvisable. It's going to be, you're going to need SPF 15,000, to survive 15 minutes out there. And at night we're going to be seeing more of this, It's like if you take this ball and pour water over it, and that's the energy coming from the sun, you would see that it hits here and then it splashes and then it doesn't really touch on the other end. All right, that's what the northern lights are. Right now we have a magnetosphere that here, it's preventing that energy from hitting, so it kind of goes around it and coalesces on the other side. All right, but when the magnetic field disappears all the way, it's going to be like the movie Knowing. Man, it's not going to be that bad. Hopefully not. That would suck. A wall of fire every fucking day. Oh my god. Yeah, good luck going to Starbucks. But where's my beer brush? If we're at that point, guys, where the media, all the bullshit that goes on at that level, it's just there to distract you. Anything to keep you Left versus right. Keep you going and getting in your fucking car and going to work every day, you know? You know, if everyone didn't pay their taxes, they wouldn't have. There would be no fucking. There'd be nobody to come take you to jail, guys. You know? Never forget that money is made up. The Fed prints it, and then they say there's an interest rate on it. You know? You know what they say? It makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. Oh man, this beard. It's like a neck beard, but it's not. I'm hoping to get it grown out more. But it seems that it's hit that point where it's got to stay at this length here. It's not going to get any longer on me for right now. But on the big, like, I don't know. You guys tell me. Do you think we're alone? You know, I've got a lot of people that I've met that have walked away from certain death. Hell, even, you know, if you think Trump got shot at, right? That dude took a round to the ear, and then there's no damage afterwards. Oh my fucking god, dude! Every time it's a Republican doing some stupid shit like that, guys. Thank God this time, it was just Trump getting shot at, allegedly. You know, and it's a fucking nightmare that dude had to die. That firefighter behind him. It really tells you the priorities of this place. You know, it's all about fucking. It's not about saving face. All right, shit changes after this, guys. Have faith. I know how it works. I know how it goes. And we can either, you know, you can fight it if you want, but it's not going to help. It's not going to help. The only thing that's important is survival, all right, of the species. And we are alone. And the technology that we've recovered, reverse engineered, all that shit, it's not ours. It has an original owner. They're here to collect it, right? And what people... who we are. Who are we? What's at our core? Are we vicious? Are we terrible? Are we capable of a peace? Alright? Is Earth the middle ground between different civilizations out there? Because look at humanity right now, guys. With all the tech that we have, the thing that comes next is indefinite life. Alright? We know mushrooms, psilocybin, restores all sorts of shit. It helps people connect. It's the fungus among us, right? That it's just, guys, come on. Why are we still fighting? Are you guys do you have that much hate left in you? Do you? What do you hate so fucking much about all these other people? They look different, they talk different, like that's, come on. Like, take all your shit away from you and see what happens. What are you going to do? You're going to go postal? You're going to kill people? You're going to hurt more people? What is it? You're going to hurt kids? How many of you guys out there hurt kids? Yeah, it's just wild. Are we this? Are we this? I don't think so. Everything that I've seen around the world is just people. Good people, decent people. You know, people will rebel against an external force impeding against them. All right? It's not a revolution. It's self-defense. All right? Maybe they're here and they're trying to see how we're going to react. Okay? But the past 80 years, all the tech that we've got, it's not... we ain't that smart, guys. You know, our smartest people are essentially just... they don't have faith in religion. They just have a connection to a higher thing. A higher power. I hate using power. A higher intelligence, right? Everybody's kind of aware of this connection that we have. But you got to ask yourself, do you think you're really alone? Do you? Is it all bad news bears for you? I'm like, guys, we haven't become self-aware as a species to measure how we occurred externally. Nuclear bombs killed so many people. 2 bombs that we dropped, all right? Even though arguably more people died in the firebombing raids, but we saw the devastation. We learned about radiation. Chernobyl, all right? Fukushima reactor, okay? We're getting helped, okay? We need to learn how to use this energy. We can use high voltage to pull water from the air, ensure people have clean water. We can use solar power to boil water. No machines or electricity involved in that shit, guys. Okay? There's so much that we can be doing. But yet every day, get up, go to work, pay the bills. Don't question. Just keep going in your circles until you drop dead. My full understanding is like they're here. Okay? And if they wanted to do us harm, they absolutely could. And maybe they are. Maybe all these divides, it's just us being manipulated by them. I don't know. But there's big talk of reptilians. Now we can talk about reptilians here. You know, like I was speaking earlier, dinosaurs. We look around today, we see humanity on top of the food chain, intelligence, we have speech, we have manipulation, dexterity, intelligence. No other species does what we do like we do it. Okay? If there's only one species that was capable on a surface at a given time, is it so far stretched that maybe dinosaurs had something like that? I mean, the Y files, I reference them a lot because AJ does the best job I've ever, like, he's the best out there for this kind of stuff. He really he delivers the message exceptionally well. But the reptilian stuff, it really makes sense that there's something like that out there. Okay, what do crocodiles do when the world gets cold? All right, they bury themselves. It's you know, they hibernate in the ground, in the water. You know, they stick their nose up so it can breathe. All right, or they could just, you know, is it so far stretched? Hell, even the Ouroboros, right? The snake that eats itself indefinitely, right? A sign of a lot of different cultures out there. Where does it come from? All right, the Hindus worship a lot of reptiles stuff out there. Where does it come from? Do we really? And you know, I'll say this: England, all right, Scotland, they killed all the fucking snakes on that island. And hell, even in the Bible, all right. And you know what? Makes a lot of sense that, you know, don't eat that apple. It'll give you a bunch of knowledge. Snake's like, dude, eat the apple. It'll make you smart. Fucking Adam's like, sign me up, bro. And then as punishment, we get women. Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, reptiles are probably here to guide us. And if I am being totally honest, whatever that fucking thing is that was up there, I'm pretty sure it was reptilian. And it was large. It was like 14, 15 feet tall. It was huge. And I didn't look at it, but I sensed it come near me. I felt its presence near me. And can we have one of those acting as a god right now on this planet? And maybe he's got family that's coming to be like, bro, you've been doing this. You're fucking them up, bro. What are you doing to these people? He goes, like, we sent you down here to help them. And now you got the 500 wars in the past 1,000 years. How many people have you killed? Millions? Jesus, man. What the fuck? And maybe that's what Jesus was back then. He was like, you know, Beelzebub, Lucifer, whatever, get your shit together, man. What are you doing? All right. We sent you here to get these people squared away. All right. And it's not a forceful. You can't force that. That's the greatest thing about free will, is that you can't force it, you know? And all people have to do to become better is just to let go of bad shit. I invited bad shit into my life for the past several years. Ever since my dad died, I've been on a fucking self-destructive rampage. And it's burned all my bridges. It's pissed off all my friends. I've definitely pissed off the federal government. But it's okay. Because, what would Jesus do? Right? Forgive. Turn the cheek. Right? I have to learn. You know? We all do. You know, it's not about being made small. It's not even about being small. Because all we are as consciousness is the universe looking in on itself. Okay? Think about that, guys. We are made of star stuff. The universe would be a dead, silent place if it wasn't for us. You know? It's like I can move things with my mind. Watch. I'm going to move this Pokeball right into the middle of the screen, guys. Here it goes. Just like that. Consciousness converted into electrical signal, manipulating organic matter. Organic. You know, weird words, but I think, therefore I am. And to think that we're alone in this place, it's just asinine. But why do bad things happen to good people? Why do good things happen to bad people? You know, we can question that all day and we'll figure it out real quick. You know, system's kind of rigged. Definitely doesn't want free thinkers out there doing stuff, questioning it. But here I am, questioning things, which we all should do. And the biggest question, are we alone? Absolutely not. Because if you can think it, if you can see it in your mind's eye, it exists. All right? I don't know if you are out there like me and you have dreams that are so visceral. Tell me in the comments. You know, let me know what you're thinking. Share your thoughts. Because this place it's not the end of it. I'd argue it's just the beginning. And I think that I know that if we united in the common threat against man, we will be more than we ever thought possible. What is the common threat against man, you ask? The dead, dying, death, ending mortality. And how do we do that? Well, the organic body fails over time. Unless we find the right frequency, which will allow our cells to tap into that universal signal, that power, which I think psilocybin is a big piece of that. Okay. The greatest enemy is death. We need to stop finding new ways to make it happen. Like I said, we need to take all that energy that we have into destroying one another and flip it around. We'll be a type 1 civilization before the end of this century. I absolutely guarantee it. And nature conservation, right? Everything all the life that we have here, yes, yeah. We can build technology to work around these natural disasters that are just going to keep happening. And eventually we're going to be able to capture all the energy that's coming from the core of the planet. And we'll be able to control the amount of energy that goes back into the planet being absorbed by the sun. All right? And we're not going to do it alone. Because the technology that we have now is old. We're reverse engineering old tech. And as we are progressing, right? See, guys? I'm not kidding. Essence, give me your essence. We know how the brain works. EKGs. It emits signals, electronic signals, which can be picked up by all of these devices. Anything can manipulate these signals. Okay? These are all just rocks rubbing together. Okay? Got stuff like ferrofluid. Okay? This is really cool stuff, you know. I have copper powder. I got some neodymium magnets. You know, you can make a generator off of that. This is just where we're at with basic shit. And there's just so much out there to learn about all this stuff. Are we alone? Guys, if you are going to ask that question at this point, there's nothing but answers for you to answer. Okay, there's nothing but thousands of people have been abducted. All right, experiments have been done. Me personally, every time when this happened, when this shit happened, knock out cold, bright flash of light. Every time I've had a terrible incident. Like when I ate shit, got all these scars on my elbows, my limbs when I was a kid. Bright flash of light. Darkness. And then I'm back. Every time. I think they're showing me more stuff because they want me to help. Because they know I don't give a shit and I'll still talk shit. I'll share what's on my mind all the time. It's just about being honest, transparent, and not a slave to any man. Not a slave to whatever Big Hoss is either. You know? And maybe that's why he likes me. Stand on the business, right? Terrible businessman. You know, every job that I've worked, I said I hold up my end of the bargain. Always, you know. Except those last security gigs. Some of those were fucking weird. Especially the local ones that pay under the table here in town. You just don't trust a lot of things. You know? But I have faith in people. Not specific individuals, you know. They know who they are, but I have faith in people as a whole. Because, well, it's just math, right? 8 billion people. Just if 1% got it right, that's a ton of people. And all it takes for this to occur, for everyone to wake up, is about 10%. Right? If the media, right now, you know, speaking of 3-eye Atlas object, everyone's freaking out thinking it's an alien going to attack us. But I don't think they're going to. If it is alien, they're not going to attack us. Man, if it is alien, though, we got to think about this for a second. Let's think about this for a second. If 3-eye Atlas is an alien object, right? The pyramids, okay, existed a long time ago, built a long time ago. Obviously, something was able to levitate these objects, put them in places. I'm just gonna go with it, right? You gotta let go of everything that's been taught to you by some underpaid fucking lady who was taught the same bullshit in bullshit school, right? Gotta break all that shit for a second. Let's just break free. They've been running Ancient Aliens now in History Channel for like 10, 15 years. Someone's trying to tell you the truth. And they're all trying to tell you the truth. And a lot of the people that work at the top tier of this shit can't. Okay, David Grush, he's a whistleblower. Talked to him once before. His life is fucked over because of they don't want to talk about this shit. Because they want to keep it about Christianity and all this other bullshit, you know? It's just going to end up getting a bunch of people killed. They're going to try and convince you guys to fight something that will just destroy the fucking piss out of you. And it's just... If something's traveling across the galaxy, across the galaxy is a big fucking thing. Okay, that's 110,000 plus light years. Okay, and we saw a light year travels fucking breaks the goddamn calculator. Okay, if something's coming that far to interact with us, and they say it's going to be like a manufactured religion thing, like holograms are going to appear, whatever whatever that thing is that you believe in locally, right? So Muslims will see Allah, you know, people in America will see Jesus Christ, you know, the Germans, I do not know what they will see. Kidding. No, they hate that shit. They actually did learn their lesson. It seems like all the bad apples came over here and kept on with their stupid race bullshit. Reality is, whatever gave them the power then gave us the power now. And now that power is shifted to China. So, Either we all learn to be honest about whatever the fuck is occurring with all that shit real quick, or we're gonna get our shit pushed in. And, well, time will tell, right? We're gonna know exactly what the hell this shit is before the year is up. Okay? New World Order shit, guys. Just trust your intuition. Everything that's been shown to me is that they're not gonna kill you. Okay? People will kill you before aliens kill you, because that's our survival mechanisms that we've learned surviving on this wild ass fucking planet. You know, maybe it's pretty obvious that human may not be earthly per se. You know, we may just be technology, DNA, RNA, all that stuff. Panspermia, right? Basically, if a planet is covered with this biological material, Death Star shows up, pops it, it goes everywhere. All right, cross solar systems over millions and billions of years, lands on a planet, evolution transpires. If you've ever seen the movie Evolution, all right, David Duchovny and Orlando Jones and Stifler, hilarious. But you know, life can occur like that rapidly. Okay, and there's also the thoughts of there being something under the ground. Okay, like under the frozen tundra of Russia, there's a fuck ton of methane. Okay, waiting to get out. And methane is a byproduct. Okay, if something's been eating people under there and just asleep, as soon as that methane comes out, this whole planet's gonna have a runaway system going on. So whatever's probably here to help us. All right. If its trajectory was lined up on Earth and it was coming for us, then I'd be concerned. 130,000 miles an hour, 7 miles wide, ain't a fucking thing gonna walk away. Not even bacteria survives that shit. Nothing. There goes the whole thing. Fuck the magnetosphere. Okay, that'll put a hole right through us. That'll penetrate the core. Everything. You know, the impact from that. All right, beyond the impact is the Earth fucking dying from the inside out. After that, an impact like that. And if Musk, you think Musk? Okay, so real quick conversation. World War II Nazi rat lines. Okay, they went to Texas, South America. They had ties in South Africa too. So take that for what it is worth. But we ended up having one of the senior people from the SS in charge of NASA. Okay, and they actually had awards in that dude's name. And these guys, you know, you can spot these Nazis, and that's why I feel like I got that in my blood, because I'm proud of my scars, and they are too. So, like, if they got cut in the face, like shrapnel or anything, you know, they would pick the scabs and make the scars more pronounced, because, you know, we wear that as like a badge of honor. And I did that I'm a little scab picker. I didn't eat that shit. That's weird. But, you know, just, you know, peeling it off. I like feeling my skin being soft and stuff, and I hate having all that little scratchy stuff on there. So I'm a scab picker. But, you know, it wasn't only until later on that I was like, you know, Annie Jacobson, if you guys don't know her, she's an author, and she has done in-depth things. A lot of research into Nazis and all this secret cover-up shit, and yeah, definitely knows her shit. And she's the one that pointed that out to me. It was like, yeah, they, you know, these guys in NASA, you know, they gave out awards in these people's names and shit. And now we've essentially jumped the gun, or not really jumped the gun, but now it's all privatized. Okay, so these private organizations are able to just kind of do whatever the fuck they want. You know, they're not really being tethered by any means to any kind of overseeing government authority. And this is how they've escaped us again. Okay, so this technology that we have with the UAPs and stuff, whatever deals were brokered, 47, you know, like in the Eisenhower Accords, you know, Y-Files recently did an episode on this stuff. It's pretty interesting. They came down to two species, all right? One was like the tall whites, which I believe I've interacted with here on this earth in reality. They offer, hey, just turn off your nukes and we'll give you everything you guys need. If not, then there's going to be another species that shows up that'll give you weapons in turn for human genetic testing and shit. And so we did that. We didn't go with the tall whites. We went with the grays, and we made deals with them for technology, and we let them kind of feed on our population. All right. And if this is true, in the position that we were then, would you have made the same choice? Honestly, if that shit occurred to me today, and I was president of the U.S. and I was presented with that shit, I would have just fucking come right out and told the whole fucking world. Okay? Because all of a sudden, all these earthly problems kind of fade away in a blink of an eye when you're met with the understanding that we are absolutely not alone, and we have, there's more advanced shit out there. Dark forest theory, whatever. I mean, God bless, guys. At the end of the day, ET could show up, shake your hand. Now, is it going to change how you think or feel or perceive the world? What would it take for you guys to let peace occur? Peace for me has always been like the default thing. I'm very adverse to non-peaceful things. Like, if something non-peaceful enters my space, it agitates me. And I think everyone's the same kind of way. If ET's here, do you think they're going to kill us? Are we going to get put down? Are we going to be brought up? Put down? What is it? How's it going to go? How is it already going? How about them interest rates? How about that money? How about that currency? How about that religion? How about that faith? How is your faith? If you've done everything you could in a situation, and you genuinely have done everything you could in a situation, like getting a job, did you, after the interviews are all done, or, just anything. It could be anything. You can fill that gap with yourself, right? You do fill that gap with yourself. So after you've done absolutely everything possible in a situation and you're waiting for the outcome to occur, what you think is going to happen is a reflection of your state to yourself. Do you think something good is going to happen? Or bad? Or why do you think that? Did you do everything you could? All right? And that's faith. It has nothing to do with religion. It's just, people want to call it spirituality. It's just you and your brain, which is that quantum computer you got between your ears. And it's good at making sense of things, because human beings are meaning-making machines, and we seek to make meaning in everything. And when it comes to the question of as people are alone, I would argue absolutely not. And what's our definition of people? Right? People isn't a human term. Right? I consider my dogs people. Why? Because they have an emotional perspective. They communicate. Okay? Absolutely. I can feel that energy. I love these bitches. And now, of course, they're all asleep. How about computers? Intelligence. Sentience? Awareness. Or are you guys saying it has to be emotional, right? For something to be considered a person. I mean, consciousness is the universe looking in on itself, guys. We all perceive the world through two little dark holes. Some of us have one, some of us have none. And if you see nothing, what do you perceive? Because your brain is still interfacing, right? And what if you're Helen Keller? Deaf, blind, mute, right? All that stuff. You're still experiencing stuff, touch and feel. All right, what if you feel nothing? All right? When does nothingness become nothing? Fuck all that. We exist. I think, therefore, I am. We are all here. And this is just another day in the life. The life. Does it have to end? I mean, if people really want their lives to end, they do. And I thought I really wanted it to end, but something pulled the barrel out of my mouth and pulled the trigger. Oops. Yeah. And in that moment, I realized I didn't want that to happen. and no one's going to come save you. But I'm here. Can I save you? Can I save the world? Can we do it with conversation? Do we have to take up arms again? Have we not learned enough? Do people even give a fuck about each other? I mean, how can you possibly develop compassion when the entirety of your existence is dependent upon you? Until you have it. Until you realize that your being here is only because of other people. My ability to have these conversations comes from the exposure that I've had as a child to everything, good and bad. Alright? It's taken a village to raise a child. And if it takes a village to raise a child, it must take multiple countries to raise a new one, like America. And beyond that, it must take multiple planets and civilizations to raise another planet, to bring them into the fold. So as far as we go forward, we must be humble, right? Not humble, but, just honest, be genuine. How do we do this? Do we really think that we're going to be using propellant fucking rockets? Why are we still talking about fucking rockets? That shit doesn't work. That's the stupidest fucking scam I've ever seen in my whole fucking life. Okay? Not when we have all this other shit floating around and they're body snatching people from natural disasters. Okay? Disappearing people like sacrifice. Someone's been doing a lot of sacrificial shit. It's honest. It's honestly been occurring. Okay? Human sacrifice has been a big part of our culture. Our collective human culture. Everywhere. That shit's gotta stop. We gotta stop. We gotta start being honest. We gotta stop being fucking stupid. Alright? Pretending like religion is the end all be all. Alright? Because humanity is capable of great thought. Okay? Developed spirituality has nothing to do with religion. Okay? Nothing. I wasn't looking for God. Okay? Dude found me. I was just looking for the truth. Trying to figure out why did my dad say he didn't have a choice. Hell's Angels, a group right around them. Why is my life like this? Why has it been like this? And what comes next? What are we doing? What are we fucking doing? Why are we having these fucking fights and bullshit? Why do we still have a government that we idolize this fucking broke dick fucking Trump, dude? Why do we give a fuck about his fucking family? I don't give a fuck about these people. I only care about people as a whole. The whole fucking species. It has nothing to do with individuals. Everyone should be allowed to live their lives and have fun and have your celebrities do all that. But you know what? They should not be able to affect every single fucking person with their bullshit. Okay? Universal basic income. Alright? Make sure everyone has a place to live. Shelter. Okay? Make sure we have a sense of community. Everybody serves their country, their planet. All right, give them 4 years. All right, we can make the retirement age fucking 30 if we wanted to. Okay, what happens when you retire? Just fucking live, go cruise, go on cruises, go walks, go do whatever, right? Anything but working for someone else that will just make sure you show up somewhere every day until you fucking die. Never having a fucking chance to think about all this stuff. Because maybe this is a prison planet. Maybe. It does seem like that. Maybe not necessarily a prison planet, but maybe America's that new Australia. All right, and then the whole place gets sacrificed. After the next shit explodes, Yellowstone explodes, and it's like the biggest sacrifice in human history. What happens when we die? Does our little, does the moon capture us? Because we're going to talk about the moon tomorrow, guys. We're going to talk about the moon in depth, because that whole place is, it's cool, it's weird, but we're going to talk about that tomorrow. It's just too much. Right, Luna? Luna. Oh, Luna, come here. Oh, she's like, I was sleeping. Come here, Luna. Luna, can I pet you? Hello, darkness, my old friend. Can I pet you, Luna? Oh. She's like, you come over here to pet me. And Sweetie's original name was Sophia. another goddess, right? All these, and let's see, Luna happened. My second ex-wife found her. Got her a couple weeks after my dad died. Sophia was a next door neighbor. She was an army captain. People that brought me out on ops for domestic security missions. Army intelligence. What? Random people always pull me aside. They always find me. But that's okay. Everyone can know who I am. It's allowed. Okay? Not everyone's got a perfect story out there. Not everyone's that interesting. You know? I didn't want to deal with any of this, but... Well, actually, I just wanted to find out more. And now I'm being directed to share with you guys. And now we can talk about UAPs and whether or not the aliens exist and shit. And yeah, they're no fucking shit. Yeah, they fucking do. Have you looked around? Have you seen how fucking different people are? My God. And it has some of us look dead ass alike. Charles. Squint my eyes, but if I had glasses. It's funny. I fully intend on meeting all these people in real life. Just shake a hand, have a conversation, see what it looks like on the other side. Wouldn't it be great, right, if I can blow this channel up and go to my property, which happens to be in between Area 51 and 52. 52 is Provo Proving Grounds, right? Or it's in Utah. South of Salt Lake City. But Area 51, lots of weird, spooky shit. No, we're going to talk. Do we really want to talk about Area 51? Because I've seen some weird shit out there that I'd love to talk about. Maybe we'll do that the day after tomorrow. But, the main question, are we alone? I think not. I think not. What was that? Oh, man. Let's see here. Okay. I already had a brain fart on it. The Lacerda reptilian interview. So I recommend you guys read this all the way through. Lacerda Files. All right. It was an interview, 3 separate interviews, all right, between a guy and a reptilian, a female reptilian. And I could read through this whole fucking thing right now, but dude, that's going to be its own fucking thing. We will definitely do an episode on this, on the Lacerda Files. Because, honestly, for this, guys, like, it's fairly in-depth. It's crazy. It speaks to a lot of shit, They say, oh, yeah, you only need copper and some other things to make anti-gravitic technology. And it's like, oh, really? And you're like, what are you talking about? Well, you can find patents. This is like on the... I have all this knowledge in my head. Like I said, guys, no script on this show. I'm just pulling this always from my ass. I'm an ass, I'm a butthead, so there's that right there. We can download the PDF. I've already downloaded this a bunch of times. Filed in 2006. And this is interesting. It could work, right? Goes down on the front, up in the back too. high charge static lines, slot antennas. I want to build this. If you guys give me a bunch of money, I'll build this in a heartbeat. Man, I don't know why we're still talking about fucking propellant-filled rockets going anywhere, because that shit ain't gonna fucking work. Now, if you basically take an orb, all right, like this, and this is propulsion. Okay, this is how it would move forward. Okay, but now if the craft was, if you're able to get the whole thing vibrating faster than the speed of light, then you escape light. Okay, you escape it. If light can't touch you, neither can gravity. Okay, and there's been documented cases of what we've observed on these UAPs and stuff, like the one off Nimitz that happened in 2000, I think 4 or something like that. There's all sorts of radar stuff, all right, that's been destroyed, probably disappeared, buried in a vault, burn bag or something. But they say 5,000 G acceleration. 5,000 G acceleration is faster than light. Okay. I'm just going to type that out there because that's the number they use for it. It's probably going to tie us right to... Let's see. G-force. Okay, so let's say 5,000. That. And this is acceleration, so it's like you're constantly moving at that rate, right? $387,000 miles per hour squared. Yep, that kind of blows the absolute pants off of fucking anything that we got right now. Let's see if we can find it. Here you go, guys. Here's a government website with this information on it that we can have a conversation about. Several UAP encountered by military, commercial, and civilian aircraft have been reported to be structured craft that exhibit impossible flight characteristics. We consider a handful of well-documented encounters, including the 2004 encounters with the Nimitz carrier, like I just said, group off the coast of California, and estimate lower bounds of the accelerations exhibited by the craft during the observed maneuvers. Estimated accelerations range from almost 100 G to thousands of Gs. Like I just said, guys. Yeah, we're not fucking alone. All right? And apparently they want to kill people who want to talk about this. But, well, after my accident, I'll break it down for you. I should have died in that fucking accident. Something was there to make sure it almost did. And, well, I didn't. Okay. Think they want me still here. Either they want me to walk this walk or what, but they're letting me do it, and I'm gonna walk the walk. Okay, I'm gonna do it with this channel, and if I do this, if the way it occurs to me is that I'm gonna take you guys with me up to my place in Nevada. Okay, and we're gonna see it. We're gonna I'm not gonna say summon one of these things. No, we're gonna make some contact. Okay, and by the time we get there, we're all gonna be flexible enough to understand what the hell's going on. Because it doesn't have to be organic life. Okay, you think these bodies are meant to last, dude? Like, dude, I got scars all over, man. This is such a painful experience. What makes the most sense is like what we would call technology, but just because it doesn't occupy a physical form, like a body, doesn't mean it's not that. Like we've gotten really used to this. you know, these cycles of rise and fall and stuff like that. But well, estimated accelerations range from almost 100 G to thousands of Gs with no observed air disturbance. Okay, no observed air disturbance. They also they're transmedium. So what that means is they can go underwater, through the earth, right? Okay, because when you're vibrating faster than all the frequencies, like, it's all signal manipulation, guys. It is at the highest levels. And this is something everyone should know about, because we all need to build these things so we can get the fuck off this planet when it has a bad day, because it's having bad days right now, guys. Natural cycles or directed energy weapons just putting fucking heat where there was not heat before. Because that's, you know, if I was an asshole and I wanted to kill a bunch of people on this planet, that's what I would do. I would go right down there, and if you have 0 point energy, scaled up, unlimited power, with lasers, directed energy weapons, you know, you can cook the shit out of some shit. Alright? And if you just keep applying heat into something that's already fucking hot, it's just going to make things hotter. And it's all got to find somewhere else to go, you know? Heat and pressure builds until it finds a way out. And right now there's enough heat and pressure over there to lift up half the fucking ring of fire. People don't really want to understand this shit. Nobody wants to watch my channel because I ramble a bunch. Fuck you, Lazarito. But yeah, guys, are we alone? Come on, if you're on the fence on this shit still, I'm sorry to say, you might be dumb. Alright? Observed all over. Project Sign, Project Grudge, Project Blue Book. All observed all around the world. Well, actually, it's like the big... if you look into the Eisenhower Accords, there's like the Majestic 12, which is 12 nations that were tapped for this, and a lot of white people. Maybe. Fuck the racism bullshit, guys. Variety is the spice of life. And if we can't even get cool with people that look different than us on our own planet, what are you going to do when you go somewhere and it's all reptilians, you know? Like, or what if you go somewhere else and it's all, you know, it's like very, very old machines, you know? Like, quit being so fucking judgmental. Maybe that's why Jesus was here. He's here trying to get us to be fucking cool enough to go hang out with E.T. and stuff. You know, judge not lest ye be judged. And people do it so quick. You know? I had a conversation with a guy earlier on Facebook. He's like, you know, they have no one to blame for themselves if they work till they drop. I'm like, brother, you just cast blame right there. You know? Yeah, whatever. You know, a lot of people don't get it, guys. And you will get it in time. You just have to listen and just let go. Like, you can read this, guys. You know, links right there. National Institute of Health.gov. All this information is there. I'm not going to go into it for another 15 hours because obviously, guys, are we or are we not alone? Obviously fucking not. Okay? The guys that worked, they're the pilot that observed this. He's come forward. He's one of the whistleblowers. He's trying to get people that were radar operators over there to come forward. Me, I'm here forward as fuck as a former radar operator saying I've seen a bunch of weird shit on those screens. And everyone's like, oh, the gear's just bullshit. I'm like, God, now it's detecting something up there. And I wouldn't be surprised if I'm attached to it in some way. You know? And I think they know it too. And I'm, you know? Do no harm, guys. Life is meant to be lived. Okay? It's not meant to be slaved over or feared or any of this other bullshit that we've conditioned ourselves to do. 1986, they got stuff. Limits encounters, 2004. And they have all the science involved with trying to figure this shit out. observable, which means we see it. We can tell it's happening. We can see it's occurring on radar. We can see it visually with our eyeballs. Yes, we're not alone. And everything indicates, like, Bermuda Triangle, guys. All the missing aircraft, people disappearing, TV shows that have come out about this stuff, like the 2200 or... Oh, there's just so much, guys. It's like a preponderance of evidence. You're waiting for them to come down and say hello. But look at us. Like, look at this planet from afar. And it appears very much like this. Maybe I was sent down here like this to be this thing to see what the fucking hubbub is. And the reality is that maybe humanity is controlled by something else. A fallen reptilian that can live for thousands of years. He was sent here to get you guys prepared, but now he's all butthurt that he got stuck down here on a job and he's been banging prostitutes left and right his whole fucking life. Dad. I come from a long line of bastards. Okay, men that slept with whores. And Jesus, he was one of us too, I think. Pretty sure. The things my nose has touched. Yeah, we're not alone, guys. We absolutely aren't alone. And if you wonder why they haven't come down to say hi, well, every time they do, they probably get shot down. They get experimented on. Anything they try to do for help gets stolen from them. Like, there's obviously some fuckery going on down here, guys. And, yeah, eventually it's not going to last. All right? Very soon. I don't know what August 17th is going to be. But that's about 2 weeks away. Because now it's August 1st. So, let's see what happens. If I can make it to that show, that would be episode number 20. So, let's see what that's going to be like. 20 or 21. I don't know. But, yeah. If you guys ever find yourselves watching this, feel free to drop a comment. I'll check it out. I'll see it. I'll respond. And stay with me, guys. I'm going to keep doing this every day. We'll talk about something different every day. Sometimes we'll probably have some overlap because I'm sure every time something crazy happens volcanic activity, earthquakes, UAPs, UFOs, right? Well, maybe I can be tip of the spear on that. And we can have conversations about all this stuff. Tomorrow we'll talk about the moon. Luna, right? And yeah, on that note, give me a comment, like and subscribe down below. Thank you for watching if you made it this whole way through. And I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.
Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.